The fastest field sport in the world has been played in Ireland for thousands of years. Your weapon is made of solid ash, but using it to deliberately strike another was outlawed under our Brehon law in the 5th century. Still, the game of hurling played a crucial role in the training of young warriors for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years before a young Setanta made a hero's name for himself with no more than a hurley, a ball and a high-born hound. In fairness, his father Lou was a god and he himself a sort of demigod. The legends state that the boy hero was so quick and skilled that he could puck a ball a great distance ahead of himself, throwing his stick after it and catching both before they'd hit the ground. But the seeming impossibility of such feats hasn't quenched the fire in the bellies of countless generations of youngsters who to this day are still picking up the ash in the hopes of making their club and maybe their county proud. Of course, this ancient Gaelic sport hasn't always enjoyed the noble reputation that it does today.
Nicky Racker gets a ground pass, pulls hard and the ball shakes the net.
English and Norman colonisers, recognising the massive gambling potential involved in a sport like hurling, sometimes kept private hurling teams of their own and very much enjoyed painting the game as a type of athletic manslaughter for savages. Gambling on it's clearly dead sophisticated though. Then, at the first sight of social and political upheavals during the 17th century golden age of hurling, these same upper-class landlords, without a hint of irony, would withdraw all support of the game, judging its players to be self-indulgent time wasters and the game itself to be altogether too likely to instill a sense of pride in its communities. And above all else, it was just too Gaelic. But beyond having a sort of vague and distant fondness of the sport as one of our cultural cornerstones, I really don't know that much about it. In case you haven't noticed, I'm not the sportiest witch in the coven. In fact, I've never even been to a match. So I thought I'd better check one out for myself. I've got me black and amber on because I'm here tonight to watch Naomh Moninne play against Knockbridge in Darver. Just a stone's throw from the most famous of the standing stones associated with Cú Chulainn in the area. And who better to bring me than Dave, who actually played for Naomh Moninne.
Yeah, they played for them for years and years and years. Some club, Moninne Boo.
And I know you played at county level as well, but you cut your teeth with Moninne, and that's the one that really kind of stuck with you most.
Oh, it's always club before county. You ask anyone who plays the GA, it's always club before county. Like,
yeah.
When you're with the county now, like, you know, you'd be kitted out head to toe and all the latest gear and that, but when you're with the club and that, like, it's all, that's where you start, like, you know, that's where you learn how to pick up a ball and pass and all that.
And would you have played in nice stadiums like this here?
Yeah, we would have trained here at Louth, and there would have been the odd blitz in here or there with clubs, so a load of teams coming together to play a game and that, but 9 times out of 10 we were playing around at the Maris field, which was, the grass was about yay tall and waterlogged a bit. You know, you'd come to the odd game an hour beforehand with a pitchfork and, you know, try and unwaterlog it.
So you get the really nice stadiums when you're playing for county, but when you're trying to get good enough to play for county, when you're only young, you have to bring your own pitchfork to practice.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
To deflood the pitch.
Deflood the pitch is right, yeah.
Oh God.
But sure.
But it must have been worth it. It must have meant the world to you at the same time for you to do that. You must have great memories of it, like.
Oh, amazing memories, like, you know, we'd go to the Poc Fada every year and that, and I was a ball boy at the Poc Fada, so you'd go out, there'd be 2 ball boys for each person, and they'd puck the ball and you had to mark where the ball dropped then.
Ah, that's how they do it. So there's like 2 ball boys for each competitor.
Yeah.
I'd say it was great times at the Poc Fada.
Oh, it was the best of times at the Poc Fada, like, you know, it was always raining. Like, I can never remember a dry Poc Fada, like, you know.
Did you ever enter the Poc Fada yourself?
Oh, no. It was a desperate puck, you know. You know, I would have played in the backs and that, you know, I wouldn't have had the accuracy for the Poc Fada.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer clattering people with the hurl.
Stephen. What a fight, Kelly. Strike, man. Only be a goal.
So Louth mightn't be known for our outstanding hurling skills, but we did produce Cú Chulainn and the Poc Fada. In fact, it was a priest based in Dundalk who established the All-Ireland Poc Fada Championships in 1960, the same priest who established Naomh Moninne, the team we just saw playing. Growing up in the area and having several family members connected to the club, I had always heard the term Poc Fada, but never quite understood the full significance of it as a link to our ancient roots. You see, the second-hand railway carriages called the Showmarie that served as dressing rooms here in the Bonshock for the newly established club, well, they overlook the Cooley Mountains, the place where Cú Chulainn would practice his pucking and his throwing and his running. And rather than sitting back and giving out that the local kids were developing too keen an interest in the clandestine gambling games that were springing up around the area at the time, the priest reckoned that with a bit of help, the kids could set their sights a bit higher. According to the legend of the Bonshock, one of Father MacSeáin's young hurlers wondered out loud one day how long it might take them to puck the ball the whole way over Naomh. So the priest organised buses, he set out marking stones, he appointed the scorekeepers, and off they went. And here among the slopes of Naomh, Carnawaddy and Ahameen, he took the hurling equipment his club had sourced and invented a new sport that's now played at All-Ireland level. Poc Fada literally means long puck, and the idea is to complete a 5-kilometre circuit in as few pucks as possible. The hardest part is the ravine, and the women's and junior Poc Fadas actually start from there and go the other way around with slightly shorter courses. It's similar to golf but is played in the mountains and is exclusively inspired by the boyhood pastimes of our most famous local legend and his mythical hurling skills. At that point I realised it would be rude not to go talk to my Uncle Paul, who was about the same age as Cú Chulainn in these stories when he won the junior Poc Fada at 12 years of age in 1966.
Hurling was the first sport ever I played, probably 4 or 5 years of age, and that was the whole thing then in Fatima, hurling. There was great leagues and teams and that all playing in competition in Fatima, so you started at an early age. The times were great, there was hurling nearly every day of the week, so that was the crack, that's what kept us going.
And that's what really got you going then with the other things too?
That's what got me going, that was the first sport ever I played. Next after that came Gaelic football along with the hurling. Then I was into the boxing, then I was into soccer, and then I was into running, then I was into what I'm at now, golf.
Yes.
So that's all I'm fit for now, is around the golf.
Anyone who's watching this that isn't from Fatima in Dundalk mightn't know that your nickname is Super. And I've always suspected that maybe that's why. Maybe it's because you play all of them sports, and not only that you were playing them, but you were good at them too, Paul.
Well, that's exactly right. That's where my nickname came from.
Yes.
Being Spotty.
How did you get onto the Poc Fada then? Who brought you into that?
Well, the Poc Fada started by Naomh Moninne in Fatima. We had to go out to the Cooley Mountains.
And start from there.
And go up the mountain to the start.
So how did you just get out there? Like,
oh, sure, it was
must
buses.
have been a big day, and the
buses
all
from Fatima,
coming.
sure, there was hundreds of it from Fatima, all on a bus. And when you went over the mountain, you came down the mountain, the far side, blah blah blah, and all the women from Fatima were there with refreshments. And you had your tea and minerals and biscuits, and that was a great day's outings.
And maybe a smile for the winners.
Oh, sure, you got more than a smile, you were carried around. So the crack was mighty.
Yeah.
Them were the days. And we went off and played the Poc Fada, and I won it. So
you were bringing home the trophies and the medals.
I had nothing up here, all that I had it in my legs and my arms, that was it. All I wanted to do was play sport. A neighbour of mine lived next door, was called Sean Conroy. He had a nickname as I had myself called Kiddo Conroy. And between me and him, we were great competitors against one another. And that's what kept us going, like, you know.
Yeah.
I'd win something, he'd win something, and sure, That's what kept us going.
You'd spur each other on.
Yes, without a doubt, yeah.
And did he get a nice trophy like that, Paul?
He would have got trophies too, the same as I was, because he was every bit as good as me.
Yes. Yeah, but there's only one super.
Well, unfortunately, it was me that got the name. He got kiddo, I got super. So.
Yeah. Times when there wasn't much to do and not much money about, the Priest's Club was providing opportunities for adventure, opportunities for greatness and glory, and he was met with the deepest respect and admiration by all who crossed paths with him. Naomh Moninne Club provided basketball and women's hurling, or camogie, for the girls and hurling for the boys, camping trips away to see new places, and an annual visit to the mountains for the club's ever-expanding Poc Fada championship. Father MacSeáin even had the foresight to make promotional and training videos on an 8mm cine film when cameras were a rare commodity, to encourage the sport in a county that wasn't known as a hurling stronghold. He saw early on the potential for achievement here on the ancient plains of Muirtheimne. And again, 20 years later, he returned to Dundalk from his new parish and sat down with one of his old students to add a retrospective commentary to the film when the club was undergoing a revival and needed a signal boost. Honestly, it almost felt like he was vlogging the life of the club, which for the 1980s was pretty revolutionary around these parts. His tireless passion for the game, for the myth and history behind it, and for the children under his care and tutelage is obvious from this footage. He speaks with fondness of the fortitude of kids who had to play amongst potholes and bunkers, a long way from the manicured pitches at Croke Park. He recalls with tenderness and humour their wonder at a trip away to the west of Ireland, sleeping on plastic ground sheets and not complaining at all because the crack was 90. So surely this plucky underdog of a club must have found their way to some generous government grant by now. Surely after digging their own pitch all those years ago and inventing the Poc Fada, all that work by the priest and the community he served, and he did serve them, surely they're not all still moving between local school playing fields and football pitches and praying they don't get told to move on. Well, obviously I then needed a chat to someone who's been there from the start till I find out what the hell is going on. Everyone I asked told me to talk to Jim McGuinness, who has been a member of Naomh Moninne since its establishment in 1959. If anyone had the answers, it'd be him.
The car pulled up, two gentlemen got out of it, called the boys aside and asked them had they nothing better to do other than to look at people gambling. Like what was the answer? Playing football? We knew nothing about playing football. Or hurling, we knew nothing about that. So they asked us if we would come back the following week with extra boys and assemble here at the corner, which we did. And when we arrived, there was a gentleman in the half acre at the corner facing the old Hamill's house. And he was in and he was siding, and he was clippers, he wheelbarrows, he had everything. But what he was doing, he was clearing patches of whins, thorns and bushes away to make a patch. Now we didn't really know at that time what he was doing it for, but he explained to us he was trying to make a patch for the start to do a bit of hurling. So we all walked away doing this with him for the rest of the night. But funny, at the end of the night, when we were all packing up to come back another night, this gentleman, he was putting on his jacket and a whole lot, and then he put his hand in his pocket and he took out what it was, a collar, priest's collar. And it was only then that we realised, I know then, it was a priest. He was a priest. And he was known then at that time as Father Johnson, later to be known as tAthair Pól MacSeáin, who started the hurling club in Fatima. And to this day, we are still playing hurling under Naomh Moninne Hurling Club.
And still looking for a home, trying to create a home for the club, Jim.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. We have no fixed abode.
Yes.
And like we are going from camp to camp, but mind you, we have been lucky in the sense that there are a few football clubs that let us into their grounds all through the years.
Yes.
Only for we wouldn't exist really.
Yes.
But now we are pushing ahead now because we've obtained 9 acres of land from the Louth County Council after a long struggle to get it off them. 9 acres of land, which is a very low line, and if anybody knows the area, the Castletown River is bordering right round the whole lot of it, the 9 acres of land. And what we had to do is we had to take in, as per our agreement and per the council and our planning permission, we had to bring it up 1.5 meters, the whole 9 acres of land. For the last 3 years, from 2018 to last year, I was doing the gate, watching all the materials coming in on behalf of the club and the council, making sure that there was no product coming in that wasn't supposed to be there. So I spent here from, we say, 7 o'clock in the morning to maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening, on a voluntary capacity for the club. Wasn't getting any money, and didn't want any money for that matter. And as of now, we have enough subsoil in, we have a certain amount of topsoil, but we have to get it levelled. We hopefully we have somebody coming in the end of July or August, coming in to start levelling the first field. We have 2 fields, the second field is going to be like a training field. Hopefully we'll have it levelled and grass seed and maybe in for drains and all by September.
Yes.
Hopefully, that's what we are praying.
Yes.
We will get that done. And maybe if we could get somebody to help us as regards the second field, anybody that would volunteer or dozer for a day or two to level the second field, because if you take a dozer down, it's going to cost about 750 a day for the running machine, between diesel and everything else, and then you have to pay a man's wages. It's ending up to £1,000 per day. So we are hoping maybe there's somebody out there that might just give us a bit of a twist, like, you know, to help us along the line. Like.
There's been a few times that the club has nearly gone under, Jim, hasn't there? It's been tricky over the years.
There has been. There was 4 or 5 hurling clubs within in town in Dundalk, but now we're down to basically 2. We organised a Dundalk and District Juvenile Hurling Board, which, in addition to what the 3 clubs, we moved on to having like a street league competition, and that involved about 7 or 8 different areas within Dundalk, which meant you were developing and promoting hurling. We have been doing that all along, and our goal is to have, first of all, to have our own club of hurling, and because we are part of the one organisation, the GEA, we want to promote ladies Gaelic football, camogie. So that's what we're trying to do. But as of this point in time, we haven't got any financial benefits, we say, from the GEA headquarters. Yeah. And that's where I personally think, on a personal basis, that the problem lies. Because if there was a clear directive from Croke Park to make sure that all football clubs promoted hurling at underage, even at only 7 aside, it would mean that there would be more kids involved in clubs, in clubs that would foster the hurling. So I think there has to be a clear directive and a rule that all football clubs throughout the country promote, because again, I say, we are supposed to be part of the one organisation.
The story of the historic Saint Moninne, for whom the club is named, states that she would dig the ground to grow her own sustenance, and that St. Patrick once prophesied that her name would be remembered forever. Some versions also state that she was raised by St. Bridget, who you'll remember managed to acquire land from the King of Leinster by the magic of her holy cloak. Well, Bridget may well have thrown her cloak down for Naomh Moninne Club here on the holy ground in Dundalk, so close to the club's humble beginnings at the Ballshock, nestled between Bridget's holy well at Fahart and Cú Chullainn's castle to the south. But she obviously never met Louth County Council. If you're interested in helping to preserve Irish heritage or in promoting an ancient and underfunded sport, if you're from the town, if you just visited once, or if you just really like learning about it on YouTube, please consider donating to the club's GoFundMe. Details are in the description on YouTube just below this video, and they're also on the club's website. Hurling is an amateur sport in Ireland, and clubs like Naomh Moninne rely largely on fundraisers like flag days and the monthly subscription fees of their club members. If you'd like to offer a more long-term donation in this way, you can find membership details on the club's website, also listed in the description just below this video. I can tell you one thing, if Cú Chulainn was alive today, he'd be a Naomh Moninne man. And actually it's probably just as well that he's not. I can't imagine he'd be very good with kids or people in general. But Naomh Moninne is a poignant example of the state of this ancient sport at a local level today. The GAA lumps hurling in with Gaelic football on any financial reports I could find, yet a club as well established and pioneering as this one feels no effects whatsoever from funding handed down to local football clubs. How would they like? But it doesn't stop them. In fact, they're pucking further afield than ever before. That old Dundalk fire is raging in their bellies, and that pitch will get built, even if Jim has to dig it himself. Hit subscribe for more fun and witchy adventures. I upload every Thursday and you're not going to want to miss it. Slán agus beannacht, goodbye and good luck to you.
Wherever there was a mountain that had to be pucked across, it was a challenge.
You have to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, you make no progress at all.